Welcome back to The Change Physician. I am Melissa Cady, the Challenge Doctor, and googly eyes over there is Dr. Kevin Cuccaro. Here for our Saturday salutations, where we just say hello to each other and to the world and just kind of give an update on what the recent episodes in our podcast are or were. And maybe some just random comments from us as hosts of the Change Physician podcast. If you don't know what that's all about, just go to theChangePhysician.com.
Sometimes some random comments. It's always random comments.
Always random. But yeah, so I guess I'll just, while you're doing all your stuff on your side, I will pull up our list from our podcast. And today is the 7th of May. So the last two episodes actually were on Sunday and Thursday, and part 1 and part 2 of a longer discussion of why dressing well in medicine is important with Paul Thomas. We had him on before in prior episodes, and I'm trying to pull up here when that was. Pretty sure it was like 67 and 68. That was back in February of 2021. I can't believe we've been going that long. That's this strong for the podcast, but man, we started in the middle of a pandemic and just keep on going. And that
Energizer Bunny.
Yeah,
you just keep going and going
and going and going. And whether people want to listen to us or not, it's just all about just sharing things that we've gathered along the way, not just as human beings in life, but as physicians in a unique field, and trying to help other physicians along the way, and even some non-physicians that maybe could learn from our experiences and whatnot. But it was really nice to bring Paul Thomas in again, and he's the founder of Plum Health, a direct primary care practice, for those of you that don't know. And it's just talk about Energizer Bunny. He's got all kinds of energy to do lots of stuff, and he's a brand new father, so got a lot on his plate. But he came out with a book called Dressing Well in Medicine. It was like 300 pages worth, and you wouldn't think that there would be that much to talk about, but there are some deep hidden issues in there that we discuss and kind of unpack a little bit in episode 194 and 195. And any comments from you, Kevin?
Yeah, other than I still think that maybe that it needs a different name, because dressing well in medicine it's very select and specific.
It sounds superficial, but there's a lot of depth.
There is a lot, and it is a lot about professionalism, I guess is the thing. And that's what the discussion kind of went into. It's
and beliefs and
biases and kind of the overall being a physician and what that means, and kind of the scope creep that's occurring, and really false advertising, and how anyway, there was a lot more. I was frankly astounded. I think I even said it in one of our episodes. I was like, I didn't think we were going to be able to talk this much about this, but there was, and we could have talked more. I mean, we really could have. And Paul's a great guy. Like, he's just an amazing guy. He's an amazing physician. He's an amazing entrepreneur. So, it was fun to talk to him, and it was a great episode.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, you're gonna have to go listen to it. This tomorrow we're releasing our deep dive on it, so you can hear more thoughts that we have on the discussion that we had in the last 2 episodes, or longer discussion. It's the same conversation and continuation from part 1 to part 2, but feel free to check out those episodes. And I know you wanted to share some stuff from this past week, or thoughts about.
Well, that was way back in the old days. Friday faves.
Oh yeah.
We used to do Friday faves, and so we would talk about our favorite things. And so I still think about that. Like, I'm like, oh, we're supposed to be sharing favorite things. And this last week, this is like always a constant reminder to me. And I think I'm finally kind of remembering this, but not enough as I should. And it's usually my wife wants to do something, and I think it's going to be a major pain, and I'm totally dreading it. And then it always is a good thing to do. So she's like, oh, we should get the carpets cleaned. And we haven't had our carpets cleaned apparently since 2017. And we don't wear shoes in the house, but there's areas where they get tracked and they get dirty. And then there's some stills and stuff, usually by me, apparently. And so she's wanting to get it cleaned, and her house is kind of, but beyond that, she wanted to do not only the main floor of the house, but she wanted to do the bedrooms, and specifically our bedroom. In our bedroom, I think I mentioned last time, like I have crap ton of research papers, like I said it could probably stack at 7 feet high.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so I was dreading this whole thing. I kept pushing it off and pushing it off, like, oh, we shouldn't do it in the winter because it's wintertime and it's raining. Oh, we shouldn't do it now because we're going to be gone the week before and we needed to do this. Finally, I couldn't push it off anymore. And so we did it. And a couple of cool things about this. One, it was a major pain in the butt. Absolutely. I'm not going to sugarcoat that at all. Two, it made me clear out a bunch of stuff and actually kind of cut some ties out. Like, so I have papers, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of papers that I had read, and they were really a part of me, I think, because I don't know, notes and stuff. What I ended up seeing though is I ended up having sheets of notes. So I took the notes, so I didn't get rid of everything. But it's filled up almost our entire recycling container. We have one of those big ones.
Mm-hmm.
And the other part is I can see our floor, like most of the floor in the room. And then I had about 80 something books next to the bed, and I had to clear those out. And then there was a bunch of them I had, and I was like, you know what, I should pass these on to other people. Mm-hmm. So Sharna, and I gave her a bunch of books, and I have other people are coming, they're supposed to get books. And they're books that I've enjoyed, but I just know I don't need them anymore. I'm not going to read them. So I'm going to send them off. I have a bunch. I'm hoping that the residency program picks up as resources.
Yeah.
And, it was this big, massive purge thing. And it's the weirdest thing about the mental state, like waking up and being able to see the floor and not having things everywhere and realizing that if I really wanted to vacuum, it's not a big chore. It's super cool. And so our house, it's looking nice. And we're actually talking about maybe growing up a little bit and getting maybe some more adult furniture, which we have not done much of. Our table, like our formal table, is literally a plastic table that has a sheet of plywood on top of it that we cover with a tablecloth, and it looks fine. And the reason we had that is because we used to play ping pong on it. And so it doubled as a ping pong regular table, but we finally, that's in the garage right now. We pulled out I don't know. It's kind of, we're like growing up.
New beginnings.
It only took us 20 something years to do it, but now we're sort of, I don't know. So it was the big purge. And that was probably my favorite thing is, because right now the house is clean and it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
There are some new clutter areas like the basement where we had to move a bunch of stuff. So we have to purge that, and we have to repurge the garage. But I think we're on a roll. We may have an uncluttered house in the next year. Maybe
that would be awesome.
Yeah, that's the goal. So that was my favorite thing this week. And as I said, usually this is like standard stuff. My wife says like, we should do this. And I'm like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
It's fun.
That's the thing. You have to have both parties on board. And there might be resistance from one. I would say that I tend to be the person that's very eager to get to that feeling, like it's work, but I focus on the feeling. It's kind of like working out. Like I know how I'll feel after, and it kind of sucks at the beginning, but once you get going, you get some momentum, and you get it done, like you feel so much better. I have the same philosophy, kind of like feeling and process with both of those, but you got to have both people on board in order to be successful.
I wasn't fully on board. I was just doing it because.
So what did it take? What was it that allowed you to do it when your wife told you?
Well, I kind of knew. I knew we needed it. Part of me, like, okay, if it had been up to me, I would have probably just cleaned the main floor and just done that. Like I was like, okay, people don't go in our bedroom. We don't have people in our bedroom. So whatever. But she really wanted it. And I'm like, okay, well, if we're going to do it, then we might as well do it. And I think, there was the other part was like, I knew some of the stuff just needed to get done. Like it needed to get done. And if I hadn't had an external prompt, I don't know if it would ever get done. I probably would have died and the kids would have to do it. That would suck.
So was it like, this is going to happen, whether you want it to or not, kind of approach your communication?
No. I mean,
something else.
No, I mean, because if that had been the case, we would have done it 6 months ago. Right? but I think it was realistically, as I said, I don't think this is a good time because it's winter time, right? Things are wetter, and again, you get more likely to get dirty again. And then the other time when we moved it, I was like, well, we're going to be I think we were out of town or something. I'm like, well, I had very good arguments against doing it at that moment in time.
But you didn't this time?
I didn't have it this time. And it was also one of those things I'm like, she wants this to get done. I think it's something that needs to get done. We should just do this. I need to get it. I need to do my thing. And we just did it. Right. And I think part of it also is I do have some experience now of a lot of episodes where my wife said we should do something and me griping and then going, oh yeah, she's right. Yeah. Oh, she's right again. Yeah, she's right. So, I that probably subtly influence my little biases and perceptions and sitting in the background. So
Yeah, it's always interesting how that evolves.
yeah.
Let's see, favorite last. Well, my aunt just turned 90 years old. Some memory stuff, but still, holding on pretty good. And it was nice to see some family members I hadn't seen, including two cousins, her two children. One's from Louisiana and the other is from Wisconsin. And so I hadn't seen them in decades. So it was
Wow.
really great to connect with them. One turns out does insurance billing claims. I'm like, why haven't I been talking to you all this time? And I'm like, well, you want to just do part-time, a little bit of this and that. I'm like, maybe I should just hire you to help me with my small percentage of claims. And I was like, well, that was kind of cool. And then the other one's an orthopedic surgeon. And he brought his whole family along. So I've never met his kids. They weren't born at the time I saw him last. At least I don't. They may have been tiny at a reunion. I just don't remember. But yeah, that was really great. I got to see my parents there as well, and yeah, that kept my week busy, especially in the OR Monday through Friday last week. It was kind of busy, but I think I'm going to have a little bit of a lull in cases where there's some days that my surgeons are out. So I'm looking forward to a few days here or there where I can kind of just take care of personal stuff and be at home. And yeah, so that's about all the excitement I can share, other than I'm really grateful that I think 17 of my 22, I mentioned, I think on the end of our salutations last week, that my asparagus plants are starting to fern out. I never knew that they did all that. I always think it was just those little stalks, but they actually turn into this like wispy kind of plant. So not touching them this year because it's their first year to say hi to sunlight. And so I'm just going to let them, get a little thicker and better for next year. So yeah, I've got a whole bunch of stuff growing right now. Yeah, I'm not going to bore everyone with all the names of all the different things I'm excited about, but I'm just trying out a whole bunch of things and see what lasts or what can endure my partially green thumb, and see how it pans out. But the one thing I will say is I had no idea, at least the particular echinacea I have, it's also called coneflower. It stayed evergreen throughout the winter. I may have mentioned this before, but it flowers every spring, summer. And literally I barely protected it during the freeze that happened, a couple freezes this past winter, whatever winter we get. And it did fine. I barely pruned off anything. And I'm just letting it go. And it's 4 feet tall, about 1.5 feet wide. There are some shorter varieties. I went ahead and bought, I have a couple more planted in the front, apparently deer resistant. I still spray deer repellent. And I've got a couple more coming in the mail from some other companies. So yeah, if you want something that's green, evergreen, but still gives you flowers, and can be kind of a staple in a garden bed or something, definitely would suggest that.
Is this one you can make the tea out of for depression or anything?
I mean, I haven't looked at how to, harvest and utilize all those things, but I just figured I'd let them flourish and see if I can maintain them, and then I'll figure out how to use them. So
very interesting.
Yeah, never knew.
They kind of look like daisies. Purple
yeah, they
daisies?
have that kind of look. Yeah, if you look up echinacea, they have all different colors. I've got one that's gonna be like pink and lime green color combo. There's one called Powwow. It's like a bright orange. And I'm not a big flower girl, but I think there's something really cool about edible plants. You can actually utilize them.
Well, I think you should come and do our yard. That would be really cool. Because
well, you're in a different zone. So
I know. How exciting would that be? Wouldn't that be exciting for you? That'd be so exciting for you. Different.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to come help with that.
No, I didn't say help. I said you can come out and do it.
Do it. I don't mind.
Because you're like, yeah, you're like, oh, this would be fun. Well, yeah. I'm trying to provide you some fun. I'm being very generous, aren't I?
Oh, very much. I think you probably would do better with like hydrangeas or something that I could plant, but I feel like they need a lot of water. I feel like Oregon would be a lot better for, things that really want water more often. But
Well, it's wet. We do have that dry period in the summer, although it's getting weirder now.
still, I would think your soil is probably better than some of the stuff. Our stuff we don't have the best soil. So that's why I feel like a lot of what I do is an experiment, because I'm not the biggest, like, go check the pH all the time.
Oh,
If
yeah,
it
yeah,
says
yeah.
if it says it's acid loving, I'm like, okay, here's some coffee grounds for you and some water. Let's see if you do okay.
I like that. It's like Darwinian gardening.
Yeah, I guess survival of the fittest.
That's cool.
Strongest amongst the poor gardener that thinks she's a gardener, but not quite yet. I'm
Someone
a
should write a book
homeowner
called that,
trying
The
to create a
Darwinian
garden.
Gardener. The Darwinian Gardener. And
Hey,
then you-
buy up that domain name. Well, I guess that's all I have for you, but anything else, or you want to take us out?
I have nothing else. I'll
Okay.
take us out. So I'll just say, hey, well, thank you everybody for joining us again on another Saturday Salutations, where we added a little bit of Friday faves in there. As always, if we are here well, I shouldn't say as always, because it's usually Saturdays or Sundays, usually Saturdays, sometimes Sundays, and usually around 12 p.m. Pacific or 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if you want to get on or join the community, you can go to thechangephysician.com. And until next week, stay well, and we'll talk to you soon.
Take care.